Hi, today I want to talk about shaping contra cane without using a shaper. And basically, I've been, as you know from my other videos, I'm a fan of using locally grown cane. And as I did that, I did that with bassoon for quite a few years because I had a shaper and I was very cautious about doing it with contrabassoon, basically because shapers cost a lot of money. And so decided to try just doing it more or less freehand. And so I do have some cane that I purchased that's shaped. And I do like this shape. I'm not too enchanted with the cane itself, but I do like the shape. Part of the problem that I've found with commercial cane is it's not all that consistent. This particular piece is gouged so that it's much thinner on this end than it is on this end. And I've had that same problem with gouge shaped and profiled cane. And so I can do just as well by hand. Uh, and so I do that. So this is a piece that I have hand gouged. Uh, when you do this, when you choose your cane for a contra, you probably need to take something a little larger diameter. This is about 1 1/8 inch diameter tube cane. And this piece, you have to make sure that it's wide enough so that when you put your shape on it, you'll handle it. This one is just barely wide enough. Okay, so I'm going to just use this model. I'm going to draw a picture of it onto the cane and then shape it with, I'll show you two different ways of doing it, one with a knife and one with a sanding chrome. So what do I want to do? So I want to place my piece of cane onto, my model onto the piece of cane that I'm working with. I find it best if I can actually clamp one end of it so that it doesn't shift around while I'm working with it. Okay, now I want to get this centered onto the piece of cane and straight. Okay, so I want to follow the shape and I want to make sure, like I said, this is just barely wide enough. And so I have to be fairly careful about centering. Okay, so that looks a little crooked and that looks like it's centered. Okay, so I'm going to take, I've tried this with a pencil and that doesn't work at all. You can't see the lines, but I'm having some luck using a ultra fine point Sharpie. I'm sure other pens will work as well. So I'm just going to go here and I'm going to outline the cane as I work with it. Okay, so what happens, this cane is wet, and so the wetness and the ink have some difficulty, and so you have to go over things many times in order to get it to truly mark, and sometimes you have to kind of clean off the pen point. Okay, this is also just a little bit long, so I'm marking the end. Okay, I'm going to start the sides on here, and obviously I'm going to have to move the clip in order to get things to work out. Okay. Okay, take the clip off. Oops, see, slides over. Okay, so I've marked it and it's fairly obvious where things are. I've got a little bit of glurp here and I'll just remember that that's not what I want. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clip it to the right length, and as you know, I just use garden shears on this. I've got guillotines work just fine if you've got one, but garden shears work well too. Okay, so I'm going to put this on here and I can see where the spot is. Make sure I'm fairly straight, and clip off the end. Fairly straight, not perfect. Okay, so what can we do with this? Like I said, I usually do this just with a knife, and you need to be a little bit careful about this, but a knife will pull these pieces, the slices out fairly quickly. And you just want to get down to the line. The line, again, was drawn outside of the shape, and so You need to be careful about what you're doing here, but the idea is to actually take the line, or half the line probably, and work your way down on this. I don't think it matters too much what kind of a knife you use. This happens to be my first reed knife, and I haven't used it as a reed knife for many, many years. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'll come back and work with this. Can we see what? No, we can't see. And we can see what we're doing. I've got it pretty close to the line. I'll come back with a file and straighten that out. The other direction is a little harder for me because I can't use my thumb so easily. Okay, where you really want to be careful on this, doesn't matter too much out here where the blade will be because you're going to be able to straighten that out when the reed is formed, and so you can do a little filing on that. What you really want to do is make sure that this area down here where the tube is the good part, that you've done an accurate job along where the tube is. Okay, so okay, not too bad. Okay, again, not too bad so far. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop for a little bit, and I'm going to go down into my basement where I'm going to do it with another method using a drum sander in order to come close to my line here. And when I'm doing that, I will want to take off some of the cane already so that I don't have to just sand away a ton. And so I'm just going to hack off some of what's happening here. And then I'll sand the rest of the way down to the line. So back in a little while. Back in a little while when I finish. Okay, I'm down here in my garage and I've got a drill set up. It's just attached to my bench so that it's vertical. And I've got a soft drum sander here. A lot of people use hard ones. That would probably be better, but I just happen to have a soft one. So I want to run my drill at a constant speed, and that means that it has to be plugged in. It is plugged in. Okay. Not particularly fast. And you can see I've got my blank here, and so I can just work this down. You don't want to spend a lot of time in any one particular spot because that'll make valleys. So just gentle movements. And in a couple of seconds, you've got it pretty much down to where it ought to be. Okay, it's a little hard for me to tell just where my markings are here, so I'll have to come back and straighten that part out. But basically, this is the half that I did with the drum sounder, and this is the half that I did with the knife. And we'll go back up to my desk and do a little filing on these and compare it to my model. Okay, I'm back here, and I've got my piece that I've been working on, and I've got it back to my model shape, and I've discovered that well, I couldn't tell where the lines were over on this side with the drum sander, and so I'll have to clean that up. So I'm remarking that side, and I'll just clean that up. Yeah, so it was a little blurry there, and so I couldn't really tell what was going on, so I'm going to finish this up with a knife. Okay, so that's finished up with a knife, and now I'm going to take a file, and I'm just going to smooth out the edges that I've worked on. Yeah, that looks good. I'm using just a flat file, and that seems to work just fine. Some people might use a half round file to take care of the curvature here right in that spot, but it's fairly gentle curve, and so a flat file seems to work just fine. Okay, so let's see if I can get a little better light on this. Okay, so here is my piece that I have shaped by hand without a shaper, and here is my model piece. They look pretty much the same shape, and when you hold them together, there's basically minimal difference between the two. So I'm really pleased with being able to do this. I've made several reeds using this method. I'll show you with the next little clip. I'll show you, well, I can do that right now. Here's a reed that I put together using, no, that's one, that's right. Here are two. Basically, this is another one that I put together using this shaping method. And you can see that it's perfectly good. And they make good reeds, and hey, why spend a couple $100 when you can do it in a couple of minutes? So, thanks for watching. Bye.